Why would Japanese people rather stand on a crowded train than sit next to a foreigner? Have you ever had this situation in Japan where there are two empty seats next to you and nobody wants to take it? Let's think about this and eliminate the obvious first. Make sure you're not breaking any rules. Don't eat on the train, don't sit in the priority seats, talk on the phone, or talk loudly, and don't creep people out. Definitely don't touch them. They won't sit next to you if you touch them. This is something that people visiting Japan have noticed for years, not only on the train, but also getting into hot springs when suddenly everybody else gets out. I don't think that this is a big racial issue or much of an issue at all in Japan, and I didn't think so until I made my first video and saw the comments section. It was terrible. I literally deleted thousands of these on multiple platforms, and a Japanese YouTuber was so outraged they actually copyright striked my channel falsely. And we got that taken care of. But we're gonna talk about this today. And we're gonna start with 4 points that have been brought up before. Make sure you watch the very end because the fourth one is the most important and I believe the main reason for this. Number 1, you're sweaty and you're stinky. As I've heard in multiple interviews with Japanese people, this comes up again and again.
ちょっと構成がきつい方の隣に座ると車酔いしやすくなっちゃったりもするので、それで避けることはあるんですけど、そういう外人だからっていう理由で避けることはない。
There's no perfume in Japan. However, other people restored my hope.
パフュームは別にもう日本の若い子もたくさんしてるのでそれはないと思います。タトゥーは確かにそうですね。うるさい人は多分ね、日本人のうるさい人もね、いますよね。そういう人もやっぱり嫌い。ね、それはもう同じだと思います。
She made some really good points here. Having piercings, having tattoos might be okay in your country, but over here it's going to intimidate people and they might be less likely to want to sit next to you. But saying somehow that Japan is less stinky than any other country, people don't sweat here, they don't use perfume, is just very silly, because they definitely sweat.
What the? Look at this behind your backpack. Oh my gosh, your shirt is entirely wet.
I always need this. Okay.
You're sweating way more than me. I'm not sweating at all.
Why not?
It's not even that hot. I thought Japanese people don't sweat.
No.
That's a lie. Or Asians don't sweat, they said.
Bullshit.
True. In the middle of the hot summer in Tokyo, you don't have to walk very far to find people absolutely drenched in sweat. It's freaking hot, it's crazy, and that's normal. But it felt very weird to me to see so many comments of people denying that or saying that somehow foreigners sweat more than Japanese, like their superior genes. It was just bizarre. I mean, if you're Western and you say I'm a stinky dude, I'm not gonna argue with you. Maybe you are a stinky dude, but don't throw me on that bus. I ain't in that bus. Don't speak for all of us. But if you're still running into this situation where you're finding two empty seats right next to you, another point that's been brought up is body size. That means your height and your weight. There are many countries around the world where the average height and weight is larger than that of Japan, especially Northern Europe where people are just really freaking tall. And the trains are quite compact. In fact, the seats are very small. It's not going to be comfortable for a large man. But my friend here and also myself, we're not that much bigger than the average Japanese person. Yet we've still experienced foreigner avoidance. Wait, tell us what happened?
There was a woman sitting next to me, and the person next to the woman got up, and the woman moved basically one seat away from me to sit next to the Japanese person. Maybe it happens to all men, it doesn't have to be Western. So that's the only thing that
But Jennifer said it's happened to her.
Well, maybe I don't want to sit next to me.
Hey, just enjoy the free space. This probably happens to foreign men more than it happens to foreign women, but generally it happens to both. Which brings us to our third point, which is chikan. If you don't know about chikan in Japan, it's quite famous. It's people who take advantage of crowded subways, crowded streets, and use that as an opportunity to touch people. It's a big issue if you get blamed for being chikan, even if you're not doing anything. It can ruin your life, ruin your career, which is why some people say they don't want to sit next to foreign women.
Some men don't want to sit or stand next to a girl on a packed train because some girls Not everyone, okay? Some girls forcefully accuse men of touching their bunda body. So that's why some men standing like this on the train. This means, oh, my hands are not down there. I'm not touching anyone. This is why some men maybe don't want to sit next to you. But other than that, they're racist. I'm sorry.
He dropped the hard R. I tend to stray away from using that word because it's very strong, but you can tell me in the comments section if you think this avoidance is a form of racism. And make sure you subscribe because I'm about to get to the point of all of this. Number 4. Without stating the obvious, you're not Asian. You're in a country that's one of the most homogenous societies on earth, where 98% of people are ethnically exactly the same. If you really want to understand this, you need to go back in time. Back to when there were barely any foreigners here. Take this mother and daughter, for example, born and raised in Japan with perfect Japanese.
76年とかさ、子供の時は。で、ある時、長浜のプールに行った。それは1980年ぐらい。でプールに入って家族で、みんながわーって外国人って寄ってきて、でこっち行ったらプールがみんなこっち寄って、で今度こっち行ったらでプールの中にみんな人が移動しててさ、そしたらなんかアナウンスが、プールを全部使いましょうってなんか流れてさ、それもめっちゃ恥ずかしいやん。なんか外国人がいるからって言わずにさ、全部使いましょうってなんかめっちゃ大変やった。
Hearing that a white family could clear an entire pool in Japan in the 80s is wild to me, and that pretty much throws out the body size, perfume, smelly argument. It's a pool for crying out loud. But I've never experienced anything on this level in Japan, coming here in 2015 for the first time. In fact, I've just seen a lot of curiosity and kindness and people that were generally nice like this.
お上手ね。
いや、まだまだです。
すごいうまいよ。
いや、褒めすぎです。
いや、うまい。
優しい。
いや、日本を愛してるんだよね。
大好きです。大好きです。日本のこと大好きです。だから、
そういう人はもうウェルカムだよ。
ありがとうございます。I think foreigners are welcome in Japan and generally treated quite well, but this avoidance issue isn't a Japan-only issue. It's actually something I've seen in China. I've seen it in Korea.
친구랑 뭐 지하철 탔었는데 자리 세게 비었거든요. 그래서 저는 뭐 앉으려고 하니까 어떤 아줌마가 못 앉게 다리를 올렸어요. 네, 왜 여기 왔냐고 그래서 욕 먹었어요 저한테.
왜 우리나라 왔냐고?
네네네. 자기 나라로 돌아가라고. 예.
It's very sad to hear stories like that, but I believe it, especially in homogenous societies where you're gonna stand out. I think Japan has come a long way so far that we can barely even notice these things today. But when I listen to my senpai, it's kind of crazy what they went through in the 70s and 80s.
で京都行って外国人私らがなんか外国人やってなんか自分もそうやったんやけど、その時におばちゃんが歩いてきてマネキンやーってなんか妹の髪の毛マネキンで髪の毛引っ張ってさ
ひどっでもなんか
そんなんあった。
それが普通やってんな。
そうであとな、いや鼻毛も金髪やとかさでもよう言われてた。だから自分も外人見て珍しいし珍しかった。
Wow.
When we talk about foreigner avoidance in Japan, we have to put it in the context of history. Even the small things like the train and getting into a hot spring, these are little relics of the past. I mean, it's so inconspicuous and such a non-issue now that people might try to convince you it's in your head. However, I don't think so. I think that these are small little relics left over from a time period where there were almost no foreigners in Japan. And if you're on a train and this happens to you, well, just enjoy the empty seat. And that's about it. Thank you for watching today's video. I'm so glad to have you here and have it back up. If you want to hear more from me, if you want to be part of my Discord group, if you want to chat with me live, go into Patreon or become a channel member here on YouTube and we can get to know each other better. But anyway, in the meantime, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.